this is a profession. It's just like me going in and saying, I'm not going to go walk into a hospital and say, I'm a doctor. I can save your life. No, I can't. And you know what? Respectfully, there's many people out there who think they can do this who can't.
Laura Jane Jones, welcome to Making It.
Thank you.
This show is dedicated to a conversation that I've been wanting to have with Laura Jane, actually, which is pandemic related, but it's really about the rebirth of live music and film and TV, which you've had a couple of opportunities to do COVID safe following SAG-AFTRA protocol. And I want to talk about those things, but really, and I want to tell you all about Laura, and, you know, we're going to get her story, and it's a rich story. It's great, multi-layered and lots to talk about. But the basic intention of our conversation today really is about how to, this year and a half has been rough on everybody. Mm-hmm. Our industry and many others came to a complete halt. And part of what we've all had to figure out to do, besides not get sick, is to make a living, and then also to stay healthy physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Yep. Right. And also to figure out how to continue to be creative through this time. Mm-hmm. And one of the beautiful things is Laura, I'm so proud of you. You actually went and figured out how you taught yourself, with the help of some mentors, to self-record, so that we got you a mic and a preamp and figured it out. And now you've got a broader skill set as not only a session singer and a touring musician and artist, but you can do remote sessions around the world, and you have been.
Yes, I have been. And thank you so much, because I think you were definitely one of the first people, like the first couple weeks of this whole last year. And I was like, I got to get a mic, and who do I call? And oh my God, I remember that feeling.
Yeah.
Which was, I'm not embarrassed to say it. I feel privileged to be able to say that I've never really had to record myself. I always had people that I could work with who wanted to be there, who would, oh, no problem, you can use the studio. Or if I was working on a record, or the case may be, or if I needed an engineer, I never had a problem. I know it's also different, like the generation coming up, like they're learning a different skill set than I was when I was coming up. But it was very interesting the first few weeks of the pandemic, trying to figure out how to get set up and get equipped, because I knew that my only savings grace was going to be able to get into that studio and just create, right, in any way, shape, or form. And it definitely was like one of the lifelines, absolutely, for me, in that time. And now it's just kind of become a new lifeline, because right, it's just like, oh, I don't know, I got an idea, or I just have some time, or whatever the case is. And it's like, oh, this has become now a lifeline. But the very beginning, yourself and a couple of other friends were kind enough to get on the phone with me, make some referrals, and somehow I got it going. But it took a minute. Yeah, it took a minute.
Which is why I said I'm proud of you, because you're not alone in that, by the way. There are a lot of really seasoned artists and musicians who have walked this path with you to learn. One of them, for example, is our friend Leland Sklar, who's a bass player extraordinaire, who's played on
He's amazing.
Thousands and thousands of hit records, and still does. He's been doing it a really long time. And, you might have known him from Phil Collins and some other James Taylor, various other artists that he's worked with over the years. But Leland and I, we did a remote recording collaboration on Connie Jackson's new single, our friend Laura. But the thing is, he had never had to record at home either. And he had the same thing. He just learning curve. He's doing it as well. And it's a new skill, again, that, again, we shouldn't necessarily have to know, but we do now. And it's basically lifted your value, I think.
Well, I definitely feel empowered. Like,
Yes.
first of all, I mean, I am a vocalist, I'm a singer, and I'm a performer and an actress and a dancer, and I'm a coach, but it definitely made me feel just empowered. And now I've conducted sessions. I've had people come here and do sessions because they can't record. I'm like,
Right.
Yeah. And then of course, once you do learn how to do this and you can do the stuff like via Source Connect or whatever the apparatus is, I just felt very empowered. Like I have not only a new skill set, but like, I got this, people. Next, what you need. No.
So before we get into your early years, because I do want to talk about your growing up and
Sure.
everything, but I want to address something that you basically started to say, which is you're tired, and so am I, and that's because we have to build up the stamina again. People might not realize the incredible athletic level of stamina it takes to tour, to record, to do all these things that you're doing. And as I mentioned to you when we spoke earlier, it's essentially as if you've just been shot out of a cannon.
Yes.
And, you're trying to remember how to pack your toothbrush
Exactly.
And also physically. I mean, physically,
Yes.
emotionally. So Can you talk about that and how? And by the way, so everybody knows this, you also, it's not like you've been just sitting on the couch eating potato chips the whole time.
Yeah, no. Very busy.
You're a yogi. I mean, you take care of your heart and your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, first and foremost, for me, the first couple of months of the pandemic last year, 2020, was very slow, a lot of idle time, a lot of like, what the hell is happening? But then once I got into a stride, I actually was I became really busy. I actually I did background vocals or arrangements on like 15 different albums between, what was it? Maybe May to, March of this year. So I worked on a bunch of things, and I stayed very busy. I've always vocal coached, and I have an even larger arsenal of students. So I actually was pretty busy. So in terms of my voice, because my voice now is stronger than it was last year because I've been teaching.
Right.
I've been in the studio. So the vocals are actually stronger. The difference is, I tour the world. I do a lot of live gigs. And so getting back to that, which really has been about, I think my first really big-ish live gig back was mid-June. But otherwise, for the past 6 weeks, I've literally been nonstop. And,
right. You've been traveling. You've got COVID tested as much or more than most people that I know.
Yeah. So we'll get to that as well.
Yeah.
So in terms of the stamina, getting back to the live shows, yes, I absolutely feel like I have been shot out of a cannon. And during the pandemic, I would walk around the lake near my house, 3.5 miles, 5 days a week. I would do Pilates. I've got weights. I've got a mini trampoline. I do yoga. I was always exercising my body, but there's just nothing like the adrenaline and the rush, and you got to, we got to go through. And I mean, flying internationally now is it's just, it's a lot. It's a lot. So it has been exhausting, and I'm really organized, and I'm the kind of person, I can travel the world. I don't leave a USB cord. I never lose anything. I never misplace anything. But these past few weeks has been a little bit interesting. I left my wallet one day. I couldn't check into my hotel. I mean, it's the pace. I'm not used to the pace. And I realize I've always known this, but I absolutely 100%, I'm like, we are athletes.
Right.
We are athletes. And what we do it's unbelievable because it's physical. I can't show up and not have a voice. I can't show up, so to be able to juggle both the physical and the vocal part of this, the mental part of being back in this phase with the new added stress level of COVID is really, really, it's something, you guys. It's a day-to-day meditation for me. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be all right today.
And you had mentioned to me earlier, in our previous conversation before we were on the air, that you're really looking at finding a new balance. And I'm wondering, how are you doing that?
Well, that's an interesting question. I'm not sure yet. I have some ideas of what I think I need to do.
That would be a better question to really ask, because I thought none of us really know. So what do you think are some of the things that are going to work for you?
Well, I really, really am very much educated I'm very committed to education. I'm very committed to helping the next generation. I love working with young artists. I love mentoring them. I love helping to produce them. I miss my students. I miss my artists that I've been mentoring over the past year. The reason why I say what I'm about to do is because I am about to be on the road full throttle, like not going to have time for that. I have to put students on hold for a couple months. It's just not realistic with the touring schedule. Like, am I going to make it in time? What if Enrique calls rehearsal? Like, there's just too many variables. So I'm hoping in the future it would be great to have a more, I plan on having a more aggressive plan to do that and be in control of that schedule, produce artists, help them find producers and musicians, get you packaged together. And really kind of develop their whole sensibility when it comes to not just their voice, but music, ear training, chords, simple music theory, performance aspect of how do you emote and imagery and where are the centers in your body and the energy points and how do you, if you're on stage, all of these things that were part of my education that have made me who I am today as a performer, as a musician. So I think the plan would to be aggressive about making that thing happen, being committed to finding those blocks of artists and really, really upping the game with some of these artists. Some of these kids, I'm like, we should record, and it does take time. It takes a plan. It takes a plan to do that with some of them. Yeah. So having more of a concise plan, is my plan.
And it also takes a community. Like you can't single-handedly learn how to do all this stuff on your own. There's lots of resources. YouTube is a great teacher, but you got to get on the phone and reach out to people who know. And there are people that want to help you.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you know that, and I know that, but I'm talking to our listeners too, because, you reached out to me. I reached out to other people for you.
Right.
I've reached out to those same people to help me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
To every time I want to up my game as a recording artist and being able to do the technical aspect of it.
Right. Well, for instance, I was brought in to help several months ago, way back in March. I had a kids rock band that they were auditioning for America's Got Talent. And I was actually called in to help make the lead singer, this beautiful young woman, 16, be a charismatic front woman, because if anyone knows anything about Laura Jane, when I get on the stage, I'm pretty much going to light it on fire. Mm-hmm. It's just what I do.
It's true.
So I was brought in to do that, which of course then turned into voice lessons and it turned into helping produce their EP. And, subsequently from that, the lead singer wants to do her own project. So naturally, I went back to the person who referred me to the project in the first place. I want to say something to everybody, ethics and integrity.
Yes. If
someone hooks you up and maybe something else generates from that, go back to that person first. Mm-hmm. So I went back to that person and he was like, wow, this says a lot about who you are, because I could have just taken that artist and gone somewhere else. And I was like, well, Jacob, you're the one who called me for this gig in the first place. Why wouldn't I call you?
Right.
And he's actually, I'm really looking forward to, we are talking about forming more of a partnership, working together to mentor artists, and not just artists that are young artists, any artist. He and I literally were like, when we were in a session together, we were completing each other's sentences, like we're from the same school of thought. So I'm kind of going all over the place, but back to community, respecting your community, giving what if you get from your community, give back to that community, embrace that community, because we can't do any of it by ourselves. I couldn't have gotten set up in my studio. Terry, you were one of the first people I called. And then it was Kenji. And then maybe it was, Tara Akano, Connie, you and I were on the phone a couple of times. Respect your community, and give back to your community. so you can't do
I'm glad
anything
you're
alone.
bringing that up. And so clearly, I want to read a quote of yours that I read in an interview that you had done, which is this: I've learned over the years that the two most important principles for me in working with other people and developing relationships is ethics, integrity, and knowledge of the business.
Yes.
If I'm writing with someone and they don't understand basic knowledge of music laws, no matter how talented I think they are, I can no longer collaborate with them. I've learned, as harsh as this may sound, and by the way, I don't think this sounds harsh, I must stick to working with people who are grounded in reality.
Well, I had a situation in the last couple of years, which was a referral from someone who is a quintessential professional. I'm not going to name the name just because I don't want to name the person that I thought acted inappropriately. And anyway, long story short, we ended up writing a song together, and this was someone who wanted to do something that really is, does work in music, but doesn't really work in the music business as such, and doesn't understand certain things. Like, for instance, if someone gives you a track and you write over the track and they decide they don't want to release that, you still own the melody, even though you wrote it over their chords. You still own that melody, and you can take that melody anywhere you want. It's just simple little stuff. And it's just funny because people just don't understand. And it's really simple, like Music 101 law, So like a lot of people think they want to do it, and they want to do it, and they think, but this is a profession. It's just like me going in and saying, I'm not going to go walk into a hospital and say, I'm a doctor. I can save your life. No, I can't. And you know what? Respectfully, there's many people out there who think they can do this who can't. And it's just, everyone has their their path. They have their path. But many people just don't understand the value of what we bring.
Right. And it's not just talent. And when I say talent, it's a combination of God-given talent, or however you see it, but this natural innate talent. And then there's all the years of really focused, disciplined work to develop many sides of our crafts. You're a dancer, an actor, a singer, a songwriter. Again, you were singing, you were like singing in the opera group when you were a kid. I mean, you started singing at 3, but you were taking dance lessons. You were in theater your whole childhood.
Yeah, I was a creative kid, and my parents, luckily, they really, really encouraged that,
right,
which is interesting.
Encouraged.
My parents encouraged individuality. Just a little bit of insight on my childhood. I was adopted into a family, a multicultural family. My father was my adopted father was kind of a hippie activist, blonde, blue-eyed Catholic guy who was registering Black voters in Detroit in '65. He was in Detroit in '67, the big riots. He was following Jesse Jackson. He was at Jesse Jackson's very first speaking engagement and literally followed him around like a fan for a little while.
And Jimmy Carter, actually, he basically appointed your dad as a federal judge.
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to say something. This is something that I don't normally say. And I'm getting to the point where I need to be proud of this.
Yes.
Because, I know in this business, ageism is a thing, but I'm actually the first legal interracial adoption, me, in the state of Michigan.
Wow.
Because of that, that's why my father and my mom as well, my adopted parents, became well known, and they started adopting all these other kids. And because of that, he was a lawyer. He was, he became a judge. That's how he got the attention of President Carter. So as anyone knows, I don't know if people are listening in from all over the world, but in the United States, the president of the United States has the power to pick federal judges in every state. That there are openings, they can pick federal judges, they can move people around. Every president has that power to do that. And yes, picking them, appointing them. Dad didn't have to run. He didn't have to be, there was no hearing. There's certain things you don't need hearings for. Mm-hmm. So anyway, because
Thanks for sharing that, Laura Jan, because I didn't know about that about you. And that's a beautiful legacy.
It is. And it's funny because we're in the industry, and because as women, especially, it's like, oh, if you're over 32-year old, I've always been reluctant to share that.
Right.
And it's really actually not an honorable thing to do to my father, who's been gone now for 7 years. So it's just like, but that is the truth. So that is how my father got the attention. And he was appointed by President Carter in 1979 to be a federal judge. And Dad got into law to help people, like a lot of people get into law for lots of different reasons, but originally Dad got into law to help people. It wasn't to get the big retainer and work on the big case and make he made money, but it wasn't money driven. He thought he could help people. So, raised in a multicultural family, I had 3 other sisters that were adopted. 2 were adopted at the end of the Vietnam War. They're half Black and half Vietnamese. I have another sister who's 100% African American from Washington, D.C. area. She was born there. And then my parents had 1 biological daughter. So we kind of can check every box, got every ethnicity, what you need. Well, you need like someone else. We got it.
You're one stop, your family.
Yeah. And
a cultural one stop.
Yeah. And so with that, Dad was always like, I gave you this as a fun fact, and I want to share this as well, because I remember sharing this with another phenomenal singer out of New York that I did, that I met a few years back when I was doing the thing with 50 Cent at Radio City Music Hall. And I told him, I said, before I was 10 years old, I was in like a Jewish temple, a Buddhist temple, a mosque, several different branches of churches. I was in Quaker meetings. Dad was searching. So we went to Quaker meetings, and he was searching for he denounced the Catholic Church. But we always kind of lived in a super multicultural environment. And I remember my best friend in elementary school was Indian, and I would go to her house and I just would stare at her mom, because her mom would wear this beautiful sari and she had this gorgeous long black hair. And I was like, I just thought she was so beautiful. I thought that her clothes were so beautiful. And I remember they went to a mosque to pray. And so they were going to take me with them. And my dad was like, yes, you can go. My parents don't believe in fear. They never wanted to teach us fear and division. And I think a lot of people don't realize that maybe they are doing that with people in their lives. I'm not going to say their children, because that doesn't sound right,
So where have you landed as a fully formed, like a grown woman, somebody with a point of view who's lived, you've been to over 90 countries. I mean, you've seen the world.
Yeah.
So spiritually, where are you? Is it a combination of many viewpoints?
It's a combination of many viewpoints at this point. Ironically, the first time I was in Japan and the first time I was at a Buddhist temple, I felt like in a past life I was Japanese. Right? It's like I had this thing. But then I feel that way in the Middle East, which is funny. I feel very comfortable in the Middle East, and people really freak out about that. And I don't know what that means. Maybe I was Jewish, maybe I was Arabic, maybe I was Muslim. I don't know. But I've always felt very comfortable in those 2 environments, which is really fascinating. I think for me, regardless of my father raising us in a non-denominational church, because we were raised in I feel like I am raised with some Christian principles. Mm-hmm. But I definitely feel like I gravitate towards the Buddhism and that Buddhist side of things. Again, I don't want to say I'm a full-fledged practicing that either, because I've got friends that are committed and, they research more. I believe in universal love. I think humankind is beautiful. I think there's so many beautiful people on the planet, and it just doesn't matter. It does not matter if people are of different religions. Everyone at the end of the day wants the same thing. They want to be loved. They want to live freely. So I don't want to sound too much like a hippie, but
you can.
We are all one, and I don't believe in division, and I don't think religion should divide us.
I stand with you in that, and it's very clearly said. I want to circle around to something else right now that I find really interesting that I know about you. I'll start with a quote of yours, and then here's the question.
Okay.
The quote is, luck is all about seeing the possibilities in places where they are hard to see. And that's an interesting perspective, but I understand because I've seen that in action with you. I want to talk about your journey as an artist and the question, how did you get here, where you are now in your life? And it's really leaning specifically to talking about intuition and premonition.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an artist that you work with that back in 1996, you had a premonition or an intuition. You tell me the story.
Okay. Yeah. So just for anyone who's listening, I have been touring off and on with Enrique Iglesias for 19 years.
As a featured vocalist.
As a featured vocalist, yeah,
yes.
In the band. And for an off and on, meaning off and on, like I left a couple times, came back, and I'm coming back now again. The thing that's funny is literally Enrique Iglesias, his first album blew up in 1995, I believe. It was a Spanish album and it was huge. It was massive. Back then, of course, people would release a record, they'd sell 15 million copies the first, immediately.
And it doesn't hurt that he's super talented and his dad is also an artist that's loved worldwide.
Right. So I think the first time I saw him, was it 96 or 97? It was something in those years. I saw him on TV and I literally was like, that's it. That's my gig. And I knew that was my gig. And that was it. So ironically, I got called for, I think by 99 or 2000, he had blown up and he had broken the English market. He had a couple of huge hits. He was everywhere by then. And I got called for the gig to at least audition for it by our then musical director in 2001. Pretty much, or no, was it 2001? I think it was 2001. Yeah, gosh, I forget. Yeah, 2001, maybe right before 9/11. Anyway, so the musical director said, and at the time I was working in Vegas. I had been working with a Swedish pop star that had gotten Capitol Records pulled the plug on him. And I needed money and I knew people in Vegas. I'm like, can I come work at your show? So luckily I could do that. So anyway, I got called to audition for the gig and the musical director was like, can you come to SIR today? And I was like, actually, I can't. Back then, it's like, I didn't have money to get on a flight. I had my car out there. I don't even think I had a cell phone yet. Maybe I had a cell phone. I don't even remember. But he was like, can you come to SIR today? I'm like, actually, I can't. I said, but I can come tomorrow. So I called him the next day. I said, I'm on my way because I was driving from Vegas. I don't think I told him I was in Vegas. I was scared he wouldn't call me. Anyway, I drive to SIR.
That's a need to know basis.
Yeah, exactly.
In our business.
Yeah, I drive to SIR.
Can.
Yeah, I drive to SIR. I arrive, boom. We just hired somebody.
Ugh.
So I was like, oh, man. So long story short, the musical director's wife kept my picture and CD. Yes, this is pre-digital, guys. And she was like, she kept looking at my picture and she was like, I don't know, I have something about this girl.
Did you even get to audition or they were done?
I literally walked into SIR and they were done.
Sorry. Yeah, we're packing up.
Yep. So anyway, the musical director's wife held onto my picture and CD and he called me about a year later. And that's how I started. That's how the gig started. So there's just a couple of things that, and I hope I'm not going off track.
No,
intuition,
and I'm just
premonition.
Yeah. I think it's so wonderful on many levels. One is because we've all had similar stories in our business. I had that happen when I auditioned for Seal. And when I rolled up to Third Encore, being another rehearsal audition place, they were already walking out to the car. I saw Seal walk into his car and the music of the, other band members, they found somebody that they liked right before me.
Yeah.
So, and it had nothing to do. I was in town. I showed up when they told me to do. I had learned my 3 songs. And
right.
The only difference is, Seal's wife didn't keep my CD and photo and I didn't get the call a year later. So I'm really happy for you that happened. But I also think that there's something about you visualizing that you belong there. There's a really strong.
Yeah.
What's your point on that? How do you see that about the intention being so clear that you just knew that that was yours to have?
Well, I don't know if I really was mature enough to articulate that then. It just was just, I don't know.
Right.
But I think
I'm talking about now. Looking back.
But now looking back, you gain this kind of wisdom. I call it the seventh sense.
Mm-hmm.
Not the sixth sense. It's the seventh sense. Because it also takes a practice to visualize and manifest and all of those things. Because people say all kinds of things and they think, I think, blah, blah, blah. There's also there's a realistic thing that comes along with that. But I don't know. I mean, visualization, setting out intentions, mantras, all of these things are part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to answer the question.
You are answering the question.
Am I answering the question?
Yeah, I was just curious about, where your relationship with visualization and intention, and it's strong. And
well, I'm one of those people, like I write stuff down,
mm-hmm.
All through the pandemic. Well, we're still in the pandemic.
Yeah, we still are.
But in the thick of it, the beginning of it, when for me, like March 18th, my entire income for the year went, bye-bye, hello, right. Bye-bye. I was like, all right, I had my things up on the door. So every time I went out the door, I would see certain words or certain mm-hmm. phrases or certain things that I needed to or wanted to manifest. I do a lot of that. And then I also do, I don't want to sound, I've got my little rituals. Like I also do, I'll write something down on a piece of paper. And when I need that thing, person or situation or whatever it is to go away, I'll write it down and I'll crumple it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So putting energy in the right places and making sure you're not putting energy in the wrong places. Mm-hmm. Takes a certain kind of an awareness.
That sounds healthy.
Yeah, but yeah. It's also there was.
It takes a lifetime to learn how to do that.
Yeah,
right. That is like I know because I work on it daily. Lisa, Lisa, you have a doctorate in basically in human.
In ethics. So she said ethics and everything peaked up for me, but she's saying so many things that are peaking up everything for me because she lives intentionally on purpose, mm-hmm. vibrantly, like all of that.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of like the key of listening to you. It's wonderful. So this interview is going to be like, I'm so happy we're recording it.
Well, actually, I wanted to go back really quickly and I wanted to reiterate why ethics and integrity was so important, was mm-hmm. drilled in me. Mm-hmm. My father was like, okay, you can sit at this table and you can say whatever you want, but you better be able to back up whatever you're going to say. And my father, even though he was raising all of these, ethnic young women, and two of my sisters were from another country, he was adamant, you must speak English well. You must know how to be articulate. He was adamant. He's like, you will be a success in the world. I know now some people are like, I think my dad did regret not helping his daughters keep their native tongue, but he was old school. And I think he was thinking, that he wanted them to succeed in the, and I don't want to say assimilate because that sounds, I don't know.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Empower you to be integrated into the community.
Right. So ethics and integrity, like you couldn't get away with much in my house. Dad was like, oh, no, you won't. No, you're not. No,
well, how many kids again in the family?
5 total.
Yeah. So, anything more than 2 kids, you can't get away with a whole lot of shit.
My poor dad. And that, yes. Oh, Lord, my poor dad.
Or it's going to be chaos. Our guest last week, Paul Merkovich, I didn't know this about him. He grew up, he had 11 siblings in his family. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was.
Wow.
The more you know.
Right.
It's just interesting. Everybody has a story and a journey that makes them who they are. And, speaking about family, with no disrespect to your mom and dad, but you had this really fortunate and moving experience as an adult to find that you had an extended family.
Yeah. So, in 2010, like late 2000s, I started thinking, am I going to try to find my biological mom? Because, you start thinking you're getting older, and, my dad had, stage 4 cancer at 60. And I kept thinking, I'm getting older, which means she's getting older. And I'm like, so anyway, long story short, I did find my biological mother in 2010, of all places, on Facebook.
By the way, there's a song and a video that came out of that, so you can find it.
Okay. On Facebook. Right? Yes. I wrote that song years before. Yes. But I found her on Facebook, and it was the craziest thing because I literally was boarding a flight to go to Hawaii for my birthday to check out. Like, I was like not going to have my cell phone on. I didn't bring my computer. I wasn't working. I was going to be kayaking and eating pineapple, and that was it. Anyway, long story short, I'm literally boarding the plane. I get this call. I think I found your mom. And I'm like, oh shit. So my first day, I'm in paradise. I'm in Kauai. I didn't bring my computer. I spent 5 hours in the business center in the I said the VRBO, scrolling through every person named Rita on Facebook. I didn't even go to the beach. I didn't get in a kayak. I didn't do anything that had I just flipped out. Long story short, we actually didn't meet until a few years later. And she's now one of my dearest friends, and we hang out, and she loves her girlfriends, and she loves her wine, and she loves to have people over. We're kindred spirits for sure. And I have a biological brother, and I've got nieces and nephews, and she had raised her husband's 2 kids, and so I have like 4 other siblings and kids, and my life is so overflowing with abundance and love. Right. Yeah, the universe has just kept giving. Yeah, it's cool. So there is a song. Yeah, there is a song, "Dear Rita," that I wrote years ago that is out. Yeah.
And a really fun video, so you can find that on YouTube.
Yep.
Under Laura Jane Jones, right?
That's right.
Before I ask you about spanking Eminem's butt with a whip, cliffhanger on that. I want to ask you another question.
Okay.
Because you've already alluded to it with your Enrique audition, that basically you get the call, and this happens all the time, in certainly in our careers. We need you to come right now to wherever to do this, to audition. So there's not a lot of prep time. You have to be walking through life prepared, and
that's right.
And when you can, you should, if you got 3 hours or 24 hours, that's all you do is you learn the music or the dance steps or the lines.
Sure.
At least you can relate as an actor as well. But here's another really cool example that I witnessed, because you did this with my wife, Melanie, and it's with Aerosmith, and it was very last minute, but you and Melanie are the first and only 2 women to ever sing on an Aerosmith record. So there was a real random factor in a way, like it happened spontaneously. I would say it's not random, but it's spontaneous. Can you just tell your experience with that?
Well, I would say this: if you're in this industry, and Melanie got the call from somebody, and I don't
Steve
think
Jordan.
Yes. Oh, so yeah, she got the call, and so what I want to say in general, sometimes we get calls from people to look. Can you just show up at United Recording tomorrow at 4:00?
Right.
And if there are certain people, you just say yes. Like maybe like. I was, there be people you say, what's the artist? The pay. But there are some people, and Dorian Holly's one of those people. If someone just calls you and says, listen, I need you to be somewhere you just say yes.
Yeah.
And you figure it out later.
Right.
So this was definitely one of those situations, I would say. Of course, Melanie and I had worked together, and she and I have really good communication, and we work well together. But we did not know what we were walking into. And so I think we knew that it might be Steven Tyler. But I remember when we walked through the door, we saw Joe Perry. And I looked at Melanie. I said, Melanie. And she's like, oh my God, we're doing it. We were like literally outside. We're like, we got to get together. Just calm down. We have to walk in. Stop. So I think the thing about being prepared, is, you know, you got to be ready at any given time. So what does that mean? You need to be taking care of yourself. You need to be sleeping. You need to be taking care of your hydrating, taking care of your voice. You need to be always working on your craft to be ready. And this kind of goes along with the luck thing, because this sounds like this could be something about good luck. No, it's not. Melanie and I have an alliance, and you know, we're both seasoned professionals, and we can pretty much throw me anything, and I can do it.
Right.
But that comes from years of being a professional and knowing how to apply yourself and knowing, okay, So yeah, we walked into the session and we helped arrange vocals, and it was a fascinating exchange. It was it was an unforgettable session.
Yeah.
Because Steven Tyler is a character. And he was like, you're the first. I've been telling, he would say, this is what he said. He goes, I've been telling these motherfuckers for years, we need black girls.
That's right.
We need some black girls. We need black girls on our, like, look at the Rolling Stones. So he had to sing background with us. We went in there and started. He comes in with his stuff. And
he couldn't contain himself. He jumped in.
He had to jump in. I'm like, okay, well, Steven, if you're going to be in here, what note you going to take, boo? You can't just come up in here and just like, we got to blend. No. So it was a unforgettable thing. But again, seasoned professionals, knowing when to speak up, sing out, sing back, knowing, reading the room, you know, all those things.
And also, you know, something that even led to that is something that's obvious to you because you do it all the time. But it's bringing your A game to everything that you do, because these other little things, some of them, you know, people were, you know, might just presume that they were major things that you were doing with Melanie. But, I remember you two just singing in a club together.
Yeah.
You know, but both of you were just, you know, bringing your experience and A game. And that's so, you know, that's something that's a quality that you have. You know, it's a wisdom that you have, but it's also a choice that you make. You're always bringing 100%. And that makes people comfortable in wanting you to be around to do more. They trust that whatever the situation is going to be, you're going to handle your business.
I've had many people that say, well, how did you get started? I want to be on those big gigs. You want to know how I got started?
Yes, I
Singing
do.
at Temple Bar for $50, you know, doing gigs for free.
Right.
Showing up and being awesome, being a team player, being considerate of your community, being supportive of your community, not being disrespectful or coming in with an air. How much am I make? You know, how do you get in this business? You know, no one doesn't pay their dues, guys. No one. It's just the way it is. I love what I do, whether I'm going to pay $50 or $5,000 or $50,000.
Same job.
I'm gonna same job.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Terry,
that's so important. I'm so glad that you said that. I've lived my life that way as well. This would be an interesting time, either Dr. Lisa or any of our virtual audience, if anybody has a question or comment.
There are a couple of things going on here.
I would imagine.
Well, Scott had to make a note. He said, okay, Terry set the hook with that Eminem comment, so we have got to get back to Eminem. But I do have two things. I'm jumping in because I am loving you. So
thank you, Lisa.
And that was for Laura. Terry, you already know I love you. First of all, I'm addicted to your Donna Summer clip on your website.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm not going to say how many times I've watched it.
I love you for that.
I'm a Donna Summers from way back. But there was something in your bio that caught me. I keep finding these connections with everybody Terry interviews. University of the Arts in Philadelphia. So I'm a Jersey girl, but I knew Johnny Hobbs, who was I studied under him at Freedom Theater in Philadelphia.
Oh my God.
And I said,
Lisa, what's your last name?
Summer Hour.
Summer Hour. Do you know Troy Rowland?
Yep. I went to Freedom with probably all of everybody you can name from the.
Oh my God. This is
Somali.
Yes. This is a wonderful synchronicity. Philadelphia will always be, there's a major imprint on me from Philly. I was in Boston for a couple of years, and Boston had an imprint as well, but Philly really had an imprint on me.
Yeah.
Those are some important people to me. Johnny Hobbs. These were important, impactful people to me.
Changed my life. The scariest interview I ever had in my life. Walter. Oh my God. I studied under him. I worked under Walter.
He ran the theater department at the school.
Yes. I did theater under Walter. I did one or two productions under Walter. The scariest audition I ever had in my life was auditioning to get into Freedom Theater. And I had been auditioning in New York, but that one took me. That was no joke.
Freedom Theater, for those people that are listening, is based in Philadelphia and really was centered around African American works, mostly. Yeah.
Yep. It was a community theater, basically a work, like you said, it was a theater that focused in things that were related to our culture, Black culture, but it was a community theater out of Philadelphia.
But it was a high standard.
It was intense.
They did great work. There was no, I just want to say that because people hear community theater.
No, Denzel was on the stage at Freedom Theater. There you go. That's
the example.
There we go.
That's it. That was an impactful, Philadelphia was very impactful. Freedom Theater was impactful. Johnny Hobbs, Walter Dallas. So this is a beautiful synchronicity. I love that you mentioned that, Lisa. Wow. That's dope.
I'm going to put the two of you in touch privately so that you can become friends.
We're going to drink some wine.
That's right.
Wait a minute. Zoom gathering.
Yeah.
Zoom gathering. Yeah.
One time on Zoom.
Well, we've done, Laura Jane
Melanie was throwing
Melanie
hearts up there too. We may have to get Melanie in on that too.
Well, yeah, we have done some sanity saving happy hours together through Zoom.
Oh my God.
During COVID, just to make sure we're all okay. Checking on each other. So
that's right.
Well, it's time for another one. We will definitely do that.
Yeah.
Lisa, any other questions from audience members or comments, or shall we go to the M&M butt whipping story?
I think we're going to have to go to the intimate, and I got to make one. I got to make one correction. Denzel has been at Freedom. He didn't perform at Freedom. He's been there, but we've got a couple of major motion picture people that have performed at Freedom. I just remember him coming when we were working together. He went there. But
the truth is regardless of the A-listers name dropping, for Freedom Theater was just high quality. Like it was some of the best. They trained, they mentored a lot of actors that went on to do amazing things. Amazing things, yes. So, absolutely. Yep.
Laura Jane, okay. 2002, you're in Barcelona backstage at the MTV European Music Awards. That's all I know.
Okay. This is just a funny story, and I keep forgetting that. Like, I was trying to think of, something fun. I don't want to be serious all the time. So 2002, we were doing the MTV European Music Awards in Barcelona, and Enrique was performing. We did like this whole big production thing, and we were doing basically a tricked out version of a Billy Idol song that we integrated into one of Enrique's songs. So the girls, we were wearing like black leather bras, and we had whips, and we were singing and dancing with these whips. So this was really one of my first big award shows. And so if because you've done them, usually backstage in your dressing room, everyone's around, you've got catering, you might have drinks, like it's kind of a party. So after the show, I was just pumped up. I was excited. I'm at MTV Music Awards, one of my first big award shows.
Big deal.
And I was in the hallway and I was like, who wants to get their ass whipped? Who wants to get their ass whipped? So this person who had a giant hoodie around his, wearing jeans and a big hoodie, like you couldn't see skin color. I didn't know who it was or what it was.
Right.
Walks by me really, and then he goes, he turns me to the side, takes the hoodie off. Eminem, and he bends over and he wanted me to whip his ass. So I was like, ass, and that was it. He laughed, we laughed, and he walked away. And it was just, I went back to the dressing room. I said, "You guys, you're not going to believe what just happened. I thought it
good. Everything's good.
I just whipped Eminem's ass. I don't know. But of course, everyone's like, oh man, we don't believe you. You got a picture. But yes, I whipped Eminem's ass.
That's a beautiful story.
I think he enjoyed it. It was really funny. It was cool.
Have you had the chance to run into him since? To remind him I was the girl with the whip?
You know what? I think I did do another award show with him, and I think I was trying to, but I wasn't able to,
to get to him. Yeah. That day will come. That'll be a funny part 2 of that story.
I would love to pay respect to Eminem's. Actually, he's from Michigan. He's from Detroit, which is where I'm from. Yeah.
So I want to get to my closing questions before I give you last words. Okay. And I ask all of my guests this. The first is, because this show is called Making It. What does making it mean to you, both personally and professionally?
Wow. Well, I always said to people, and I always say to my mentees, I feel like, first of all, making it to me was I make a living doing what I love to do. And I think that is a really, really important marker. Yeah. Measuring success and making it is can be interpreted in so many ways. And all of us have had like major successes and major lows. So I think for me that I still stand by that principle. I still make a living doing what I love to do. I do my craft on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's number one. Beyond that, in terms of how much of a living, sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's, but mostly that's the first marker. The second thing that I think is super important to making it is to just be creating. I think if you're not creating content, if you're not creating, don't sit around and wait for the phone to ring. Don't wait for the email to come. I pick you. No, you need to pick yourself, and you need to stay committed to yourself and your craft, which is why I have a new EP, because it was just like, I also had the time to do it, but continue to create and let yourself evolve and stretch yourself and take those risks and jump off the cliff. Just do it, because you never know what you're going to gain. You have to be committed to your craft first. And from there, if you have a high standard, if you strive for excellence, something will happen. Something will happen. Owning intellectual property, making sure you own your content, super important. Being ethical about splits, writer splits, and percentages, and all of the things that you'd like make. Nurture, respect your partnerships. If you don't respect your partnerships, you will fail. You will fail because people will remember it and they will fuck you over later. And you might deserve it if you don't respect your partnerships. I can cuss on here, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay, good. I better double check.
Now's a good time to ask.
At the end of the, so those are I think those are like the important principles, because I think, some people would be like, want 1 million views, or they want $1 million. And I think that is not, and that's great if you make millions. But I think there's 3 things: create, I make a living from my craft, and owning my content.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned your album. Let's tell people when it's going to be out. It's called Weep Willow, and where they can find it.
Weep Willow will be out by the end of September, and it will be available on all musical platforms all over the world. Thank you, audience. And this piece of music kind of represents something different to me than anything I've ever done before, because I produced all of the vocals myself.
At home.
In the closet, at home, crying half the time. The music, the lyrics are really coming from a poetry based rather than I love you, you love me. I didn't want to sing about love and a man and relationships. I really was trying to really go deeper and write from what I was feeling at that moment. So the music is a little bit melancholy, but it's kind of hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's really the first music that I've really produced the vocals and everything completely myself, it kind of just means something different to me. And it has a message in it. And that's one of the things that I did in 2020, and I'm very proud of it. So,
and what were the tears about?
Woo! We have another hour.
Yeah.
The tears, I, I'm a fighter. I am a self-sufficient woman. I take care of myself, and 2020 just knocked me down, like so many of us, in a way that I had never felt in my adult life.
Yeah.
I felt completely out of control. And I felt vulnerable. I felt alone. 2020 was
rough.
Yeah, it was. You found out who your friends were, and you found out who your friends weren't.
Right.
And there were some painful things. I know I'm not the only one who has said this or feels this way, but there were some things. It was like, oh my God, what just happened? But I thought, so it became we were talking about being an athlete on stage. I had to become an athlete in my spirit and my mind and figure out a way to take care of there was so much time. My mind would, felt like it would get the best of me, So the practice, that became my routine, how do I become an athlete in managing my mind, my emotions, my anxiety, and all the things that I know I'm not the only one who felt these. We all did.
I did.
Yeah, we all did. So now I forgot what I was talking about. Tears. Yes. Tears. The first song that I wrote, and I wrote it in 5 minutes, was called Eye of the Sky. And I don't know why, but I was writing about death. I was writing about the rapture, and I'm not even super religious. But I just felt like it was so dark last year, and that just came through in my lyrics. Some of these songs I just wrote in 10 minutes. Weep Willow, I didn't write the whole song in 10 minutes, but I wrote the hook in 10 minutes, and it was about a woman crying. Weep Willow, a woman falling down and finding the strength to get back up. Weep Willow is a woman crying, which was me. So instead, I had the luxury of time to really explore the lyrics and go deeper and try something different. And I just honored that. And so the music just, it just represents something different. So some of the stuff came out quickly, and it really, really feels like the moment from last year. The music is also kind of ambient. It's kind of empty. There's no special guest guitar player or bass player. It's just the producer upstairs, my neighbor, and me.
Right.
But that was 2020. We were all at home by ourselves trying to do this music. So it feels like that, and I'm going to honor that. I played the music for a couple of people. I got some great feedback from several people, which is why I decided to release it. And actually, if you don't mind, I would love to tell you who these people are.
Sure.
First, I sent a couple of songs to Cy Smith, who was definitely one of my inspirations in the underground soul scene.
And if anybody's curious, Cy's been a guest on our show, so go check her out.
She's a good friend. She's amazing. And the thing about her, she's going to tell you the truth.
That's right.
So I was like, Cy, I'm trying to figure out, can you listen? So the first person who gave me good feedback was Cy. And I was like, oh my God. Because, I look up to Cy. So she was like, girl, she's like, you sound better than ever. And this reminds me of what Rotary Connection would be doing in 2021. I thought that was I was like, Rotary Connection, like I grew up listening to them. That's the band that Minnie Riperton was in. If anyone doesn't know or they want to look that up, Rotary Connection. So Cy compared my music to that. And I was like, I got goosebumps. So then I also, I sent stuff over to Prince Board, who's a friend of mine. He's, was an original member of the Black Eyed Peas. He's got 5 or 6 Grammys from them, wrote Where is the Love? And he also, when he heard it, he's like, it sounds empty. I'm like, that's the point. Like, there's no special string player. There's no, so he gave good feedback. And then the cherry on the sundae is that I've become good friends with, I'm going to say I've become friends with, because I hope she feels the same way. I think she does, is Saida Garrett. And she had been saying to me, how come you don't let me hear your music? I'm like, because I'm scared of you. I'm scared. And she's like, well, I am going to tell you the truth. I said, I know, and that's why I'm scared, because what if you don't like it? And then I'm going to be crying. So I was like, Sai gave me good feedback, which made me feel like, okay, Laura. And so then I sent something to Saida, and at first she didn't respond for like 5 days, but I know she's super busy. And then she responded. She was like, girl, this is dope. You got some skills. I knew you could sing because we've done gigs together. She goes, but she's like, and so just letting all of that sit, these 3 people that are important to me, that have impacted me in my life, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to release it.
Good for you.
Just release it. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think you've heard some of it. I think you've heard some
I've heard a few along the way. You sent a few things to me and it was great. I was honored to hear you sending things that were vulnerable and honest and self-produced. I just applaud you again. I'm proud of you for doing this.
Thank you.
And, I do my best to not make these conversations about me, but I did a lot of recording through the pandemic too. And I'm finishing up an album now that I can't wait to share, because it's all been what we've been talking about. It's been virtual. It's been collaborative. It's been, it's been different than what it would have been if we could all just be in the room together. This forced and encouraged a new way of thinking and creating, and one that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful we figured out how to keep moving forward through this.
Yeah.
So my second of the 3 questions is, and you've already been doing this throughout this whole conversation, but can you share 3 tips for success that have driven your career?
We've talked about some of this. Ethics and integrity. Number 1, as far as I'm concerned, number 1, I don't care how good you are. If you walk through that door, if you're an asshole, I don't care. Ethics and integrity. Number 1. Number 2, always be excellent. Strive for excellence. Don't be lazy. Don't say, I don't want to do it. I don't feel like it. Be excellent. You have to understand, if you are of spirit, everything is related. You put something out, you get something back. So it's like you come in and you want to be a slacker, you feel entitled, actually that's really it. Ethics, integrity, be excellent, and work hard and give back. It's simple. It's actually simple. Don't come into rehearsal not knowing the songs. If someone's hired, do you think you can show up at surgery not knowing how to take out someone's heart? Do your work. If you don't do your work, you don't get hired, period. Do the work. Do more work. Be excellent. And be an excellent person. It's simple.
Yes. My closing question before I turn it over to you for your final thoughts is, at this point of your life, with everything that you know to be true, what would you tell your younger self if you could? Little Laura Jane growing up.
Oh God, that's a tough one. Because, we've all made mistakes along the way, and we've all at one point wished we had maybe certain guidance at certain moments. Yeah, that's a tough one. Because, I think I would tell myself to trust myself. Trust myself. My younger self, trust myself, trust my intuition. You're that voice told you don't do that, but you did it anyway because I didn't have the wisdom, to trust that. We all make mistakes. I've made mistakes with people and, decisions for sure. That's how you learn. But so I would say, if I could, to trust myself, trust my intuition, starting from when I was like 10. Yeah.
Great. Thanks for answering that.
You're welcome.
So I just want to turn it over to you before we thank everybody for joining us. Or I'll thank everybody right now, to all our people in the virtual audience and everybody out there who's listening at your own convenience. We appreciate you so much joining us. I know I can speak on behalf of Laura Jane and myself. And but I want to I want to leave it with you. What would you like to share? Anything with our audience?
Be of love. I mean, I know it sounds so California left coast hippie. I mean, I just feel like no matter, just be of love in whatever you're doing in your life, whether it's, you're going to the PTA meeting or you're doing something at school or at church or at temple or whatever you're working on, just try to be of love. I think we need more of that. Humans are good. There's just a lot of goodness out there. And I think we're in a time of divisiveness, and everywhere you go, there's like, I didn't know, be of love, just be love.
Excellent.
That's what I would say.
Well, I hear you loud and clear. Dr. Lisa Summerhour, thank you for joining us and for guiding us.
You.
Lisa, yes.
Drinks online.
Drinks. We're doing a happy hour soon.
Yes.
Happy hour.
Yeah. Laura Jane, what a blessing to get to do this with you. I'm so happy to share your story and perspective. And thanks for being so transparent and honest. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're
really,
welcome.
I've enjoyed this.
Yeah. I have as well.